somebody convince me, or for Brian's sake, just a quick recap. Why is this going to tell you the total number of M&Ms? Anthony.
So the definite integral tells us how many he ate on that time period.
Why?
Aren't you? It's in the DFT time. So you're basically.
What does J of T represent?
M&Ms by time.
J of T, what I really wanted to hear was how fast. So how fast he ate M&Ms? Right, it's a rate. How fast he's eating the M&Ms. So the definite integral has to give you how many, right? That's how it's always worked. When it was the swimming pool problem, how fast was the water coming out of the pool? The definite integral was how much water came out of the pool. With M&Ms, how fast am I eating the M&Ms? Definite integral, how many M&Ms? So I'm just going to go do my area computation. Maybe you want to do a rectangle, a trapezoid, another trapezoid. Either way you want to do it's fine. What's that? Was that 3 times 9? Right. 3 that way, so it looks like 27. Plus a half, we've got 9. Plus 2 times, what is that, 4? 22. Plus a half of 2 plus, what's that next one? 14. Are we matching up? You counted boxes.
Well, no, I divided it into 4 things.
Divided into 4 things.
And
Did you make this like a long
yeah.
rectangle? That works too. We're going to divide everything by 12, but I think if we do that, we've got 27. 9 plus 2 is 11, times 4 is 44, that's 22. 2 plus 14 is 16, times 4 is 64. Cut that in half, 32 over 12, that's 32.
Wait, how did you get 4 for the last one? Isn't it 5?
Because my thing kept moving on me. 5. Okay. So 2 plus 14 is 16. Half of that is going to be 8. So that's 40. 40, 62. Is this 89 over 12?
Yeah.
Anybody else getting 89 over 12? So as a decimal, you could say, I think that's 7, 5, 12 is like 4.16.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Meaning of the answer?
Jeff is from t equals 0 to t equals 12 hours.
From t equals 0 to t equals 12 hours.
Jeff is eating M&Ms at a rate of 7.416 M&Ms per hour.
Okay, what I heard you just say was from t equals 0 to t equals 12 hours, Jeff is eating M&Ms at a rate of 7.416 M&Ms per hour. There's 2 things that you said that I don't really love. Roger, what was the first thing you said?
Just say average.
You want to say average because we're talking about an average, right? So even better would be to say, on average, from t equals 0 to t equals 12, Jeff ate M&Ms at a rate of, if you say average in the beginning, don't have to say average again, at a rate of 7.416 M&Ms per hour. And this brings us to the second mistake.
Hundreds.
What are the units?
Hundreds of M&Ms.
What are the units?
Hundreds of M&Ms.
Hundreds of M&Ms. This isn't 7.416 M&Ms per hour, it's 7.416 100 M&Ms. It's a gross thought, but I wanted to push you guys on the units.
Diabetes.
Are we okay?
I need that.
But here's the thing though. The way that you find average in elementary school, in middle school, in AP calculus isn't changing. You find the total and then you divide it by the length of time. That's it. That is like the punchline for today's lesson. Total divided by length of time, done. You get the average. So we just go home early?
Oh yeah?
Sit down. All right, so let's look at a couple of problems
Guess
here.
we gotta get more complicated.
Let's look at a couple of problems here. Some of these are going to be easier than others. Okay, when it comes to working with average, so if I give you a function f of x, and I want to find the average value of f of x, so I'm just going to come up with some function. Here's f of x. From A to B, The way I'm gonna find the average value is gonna be the definite integral from a to b, f of x dx
Divided by b over c.
divided by b minus a, divided by the length of the interval. Total area divided by how long. Some textbooks are gonna write it this way. Some textbooks are gonna write it this way. Can somebody convince me why those are actually the same? Don't overthink it.
Because when you multiply them, it's basically the same thing.
This guy here says find the area and divide by b minus a. This guy over here says find the area and multiply by 1 over b minus a. Same thing. Same thing. I think this way, though, ties in much nicer to the idea of the M&Ms. Like you find the total and you divide by the length. So this is the one I'm most likely going to use. This works as long as you have a continuous function. Done. All right, so let's look at this first one, and then the second one you're going to want your calculator for. For the function shown at the right, determine the average value for the function on the interval -3 to 6. The portion of the graph from 0 to 4 is a semicircle of radius 2. If you feel like you've got a good handle on this, just go for it. Anybody that wants to do it with me and Brian here, we'll work it through together. Steven Spielberg, make sure you capture my good side. All right. I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that. Okay. Find the average value on the interval -3 to 6. So hopefully, Anthony and Brian, this is screaming at you, this is an average value question. How am I going to find average value? So I'm going to find the definite integral from -3 to 6 f of x dx divided by 6 minus a -3. Right. Total area divided by the length of the interval. 6 minus a -3 is 9. I'm going to write that as 1 over 9 times the definite integral from -3 to 6. Anthony, how are we going to find that definite integral from -3 to 6?
Wouldn't we just find the area?
The area of the section?
Okay, how are you going to find the area?
The graph.
Okay, so we're going to look at the graph. I want the area from -3 all the way over here to 6. Okay. Do you know how to find the area for the first region?
Yes.
Of course you do. Right, we're just going to say it's the area of a triangle. So base is 3, the height is that 6?
Yes.
So a half of 3 times 6. That looks like 9 to me. This guy here has a length of 2, it has a height of 6. So a half times 2 times 6 should be 6.
715 minus 8.
Yeah, how about the area of that semicircle piece?
Yeah, it's a point.
This is going to be a half of pi times 2 squared, because it's a semicircle. 2 squared is 4, 4 pi, cut that in half. 2 pi, Jose, you said negative?
Yeah,
Why?
because it's under the x-axis.
We're under the x-axis, so we're going to have 9 minus 2 pi plus 6. All of that times a ninth. So I've got a ninth of 15 minus 2 pi. Done. Simplify it if you want to. Leave it alone if you want to. There is no need to simplify it all.
So,
Divided
we have to write it like that? Or do we just put 15 minus 2 pi divided by 9?
What do you think? Would that be numerically the same as what I've written over here?
Yes.
Then absolutely you can write it that way. You could also distribute the 1/9 through and reduce where you can. Okay, show me what you can do with the second one. Okay with the first one.
Okay.
Make sure you show me the setup, because you get a point right here. An equal sign here would be really appreciated.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Top right, then go counterclockwise.
Wasn't this the first time you done it?
Now I ask you to return the basic question.
Alright, so my graph looks something like that. And I want the average value in the first quadrant. And it's usually about now where the AB students start getting angry because they're like, you didn't tell me my limits of integration.
Yeah, you did.
But I did.
What are the
did.
units that we would use here?
Huh?
What units will we use for something?
When there's no units given, don't worry about it. So Jose, I didn't explicitly tell them the limits, but what are the limits gonna be? How would you figure them out?
Use your calculator.
Okay, well, what are you looking for in your calculator?
Since you know it's the first quadrant, you're
Yep.
gonna start from 0.
Okay.
You just need to find the end point in each.
So we're gonna start over here at 0, and I wanna find all the way until that root over there.
Yeah.
We're okay? So already, your setup is gonna hopefully say something like the integral from 0 to a point that I don't know, let me call that a, of f of x, and I'm just gonna divide it by a minus 0. Victoria, did you figure out what the root is?
Oh, I named it as well, huh? It was 2.154.
Okay, 2.154. 2.154?
Yeah.
Okay, so call that A, and hopefully store that in the calculator, right? It should be more than 2.154, it should be 2.154 and a whole lot of stuff, okay? So all I need to see are the 3 decimal places, and then all you're gonna do is go to your calculator, and I wanna see this in one step. Don't find the definite integral from 0 to 2.154, write that down, and then divide it by 2.154. As long as you show this setup to me, with that root, done. Victoria, what's the numerical value that you're getting?
2.821.
2.821. Can I get a confirmation on that? Anybody else get 2.821? Lucia, you get 2.821?
Yes.
Nathan, are you gonna take the cover off the calculator today? Yes, let's take the cover off the calculator today. You get 2.821?
Yeah.
Okay. Average value is hopefully a very nice, easy way for us to end this unit.
So this is the easiest.
This is gonna be one of the easiest things we do in the whole unit.
There's 2 weeks left.
What?
Well, like after this week, what are we doing?
Okay, what I'm saying, in this unit, which ends Wednesday.
Oh, no.
Yes, it's the easiest thing we're gonna do in this unit. 2.821, good, keep going.
Wait, I went to computation.
Your calculator died. Were you going to talk to me about that?
Oh, wait, there.
Were you able to do your assignment on the brain? How did you do it without your calculator? Starting to go to school now.
But I didn't realize that.
Good news, you can do this next one without your calculator. So died like you need to charge it. Okay, here's the good news. There's a charger in the back corner. Do you see where the green light is? Third shelf down?
Okay.
Huh?
Okay.
No, we can't plug it in. Okay, let's keep going.
Oh, so because it's it's an even function?
First thing?
Ah.
Okay, how we doing?
Oh wait, isn't it 0? Because it's a
What did,
non-function.
wait,
Okay, so first of all, confirm that that's actually true. Okay? Okay, good. And so did you and so it looks like you actually went through and, now here's where I want you to be careful. That's, what you've written here is not the average value. It's part of the average value, but if you're really gonna show me the average value, show me the whole setup. Show me that you're dividing by the length of the meter.
Okay, so I can do divide by.
Find the average value.
In terms of your final answer, no, your final answer is 0.
Oh.
Over here. Show me that you're dividing by pi over 4 minus negative pi over 4. Nathan, you can borrow my calculator for the rest of the period. How's this one coming along?
okay.
Yeah,
Nah,
that
never
makes
mind.
sense.
What would it sound to? It would be 0.
Why?
Because
Because
isn't it
It's
an
the area
odd
of
function?
campus.
Sine of x is an odd function, so the area cancels out, but why does it make the average?
Because
Wait, is, how
okay,
much is 0 divided by?
add 0
Because
to
0
pi over
divided by a number.
There, that's the piece, right? The fact that the area is 0 isn't the end of the problem, it's a part of the problem. So you now have 0 divided by some length, this pi over 4, now be careful, not pi over 4 minus pi over 4. Y plus,
Because pi over 4 minus negative
right?
pi over 4.
Now, one thing I want to encourage you to do, stay away from y as a variable.
Mm-hmm.
Because like x and y, those already get used a lot. So I'd go with anything that you're not already using. Like you're not using x, well, I'm sorry, you are using x, but you're not using t, you're not using a, you're not using b. You could probably get away with it. It's a bad habit, I don't want to do that. And so then, the next part, explain to me why it has to be 0. And when you guys are done with those, there are 3 challenge problems on the back. All 3 of them are going to push you to really think about this a bit. We good?
Yeah.
So what's your explanation for why it's 0?
Sine of x is an even function, so.
It's an even function.
No, I'm an odd. And they're gonna keep, like, if they have the same value,
Mm-hmm.
the areas are gonna cancel each other out.
Okay. So that's the word that you're looking for, the phrase that you're looking for, is you have an odd function and symmetric limits. It has to be like negative pi over 4 to positive pi over 4. If you were going from like negative pi over 4 to 12, your limits aren't symmetric. They've got to be symmetric. So it's not just odd function, but it has to do with the symmetry. Yep.
For part 3, how would you like to send it? Because it appeared on the Penguins, and I know it's like every year until you go up by 6, but how would you write it out?
So what, that setup, what am I asking for?
How much profit is made in a year, but if you put profit per year, then we confuse the reader and make them think it's talking about a rate.
Okay, so it is gonna sound like a rate, but that's why you want to start with on average. So I would say something like, on average, from t equals 0 to t equals 6, this company is generating a profit of blank dollars per month. Right, are those the units?
I was thinking about the penguin.
Right, and so it would be penguins are dying at an average rate of blank penguins per month or year, whatever it was.
So that would be fine to put it there?
Yes, because when you're finding average, like in this problem here with P of t, or let's go with the penguins for a second. So penguins, you probably had some function like P of t.
Yeah.
What was P of T in the penguin problem? Penguins being born.
What, that's how we defined P of T was the sum of the penguin population.
Okay, let's change it to B. If, let's say B is the birth rate. And let's call this penguins per year. We're okay? So if B of T is a rate, it's how fast penguins are being born. Your definite interval? What would that
How
mean?
many penguins are being
In total, how many penguins are being born? But with that 1/12, you're saying how many penguins are being born each month. So
Year.
on average, yes. So on average, penguins are being born at a rate of some number of penguins per year. Okay. Brian, at this point, you can probably stop watching the video and just start working on the homework, but we're